You came to Gallows Creek because your career fell apart. You were a big city DJ, Chicago, millions of listeners, the whole thing, and then something went wrong. And now you're doing the overnight shift at a struggling small town radio station. A station that nobody listens to, called The Scream. The irony is not subtle. It is 1987. It is midnight. And the 911 operator just called to tell you the sheriff is dead. This is the premise of Killer Frequency, a horror comedy adventure developed by Team 17 and released in 2023. It is, on the surface, a game about running a late-night radio broadcast. You cue the music, run the ads, manage the switchboard, and keep the show alive. It is also a game about being the only thing standing between a town and a serial killer who was supposed to be dead. Decades ago, a killer stalked Gallows Creek. He was chased into a river by police and assumed drowned. The town moved on, the legend stayed. Now someone is wearing his mask. The 911 operator discovers the sheriff's body and an unconscious deputy locked in a cell. Then the 911 calls start forwarding to the radio station because there's no one else. The police are down. The town is cut off. And you, a disgraced Chicago DJ doing the graveyard shift at a station nobody listens to, are now the emergency dispatcher for an entire town being stalked by something wearing the face of a dead killer. Your producer, Peggy, is in the booth with you. She is calm in the way that only truly competent people are calm during disasters. Between the two of you, you have a switchboard, a studio full of props and clues, and a phone line that keeps ringing. Pick it up. The mechanic at the heart of the game is one of the most elegant in recent horror. It's been described as a reverse escape room. Instead of finding clues to get yourself out, you're finding clues to get other people out. You are stationary. They are the ones running. A caller is trapped in a burning building. A group of teenagers is stranded at a remote cabin. Someone is hiding in a closet while the whistling man walks through their house. They can't see what you can see: the maps, the documents, the station's filing cabinets full of Gallows Creek history. You piece together the escape route. They execute it. If your logic is wrong, they don't make it out. The horror comes from responsibility, not from something chasing you, but from knowing that a real person is on the other side of that line, and whatever you say next determines whether they live or die. The game almost never puts you under a time limit. It just lets you sit with that weight, the silence on the line, the sound of someone trying to stay quiet while someone moves through their house. This is also genuinely a funny game. Between calls, you have to keep the broadcast going, play music, run advertisements, maintain the illusion that everything is normal. And while you're doing that, between life or death decisions, you can hit the sound effects board, the laugh track, the ba-dum-tsh rim shot, the jingle. At one point, you take a call from a prank caller while someone else is being stalked. At another point, a notoriously difficult pizza restaurant owner becomes one of your recurring problems. The game understands that horror and comedy are structurally similar. Both depend on timing. Both depend on the gap between expectation and reality. And both are most effective when they're allowed to coexist. The 1980s aesthetic earns its place here. The wood paneling, the neon, the synth soundtrack, the VHS era feel. It doesn't feel like nostalgia for its own sake. It feels like the game chose this exact period where the slasher genre was doing the same thing, balancing genuine dread against campy excess, and decided to inhabit that frequency completely. Without going too far into spoiler territory, the game is doing something more interesting with the Whistling Man than a standard slasher resurrection. There are layers to the mythology of Gallows Creek, and the deeper you dig through the documents scattered around the station, the conversations with callers who remember the original killings, the details that don't quite add up, the more the story reveals itself as something other than a simple monster returning from the dead. History is involved, complicity is involved. The town has been carrying something for a very long time. And the return of the Whistling Man is not disconnected from what Gallows Creek buried. The mystery layer is earned. It doesn't feel bolted onto the slasher premise. It feels like the reason the slasher premise exists. So, what is the game actually about? Well, it's about what you do. with a second chance. Forrest Nash is a man who had something and then lost it and ended up somewhere he didn't choose, doing something he didn't plan in the middle of the night when nobody is watching. And in that accidental context, not because he sought it, not because he was the right person for the job, he becomes the person an entire town is counting on. And there's something genuinely resonant about that. The game doesn't make him a hero in the traditional sense. He's nervous, he's uncertain, he makes mistakes, but he picks up the phone every time it rings. He tries to think clearly, when clarity is the hardest thing to maintain. He keeps the show going. The graveyard shift turns out to be the most important night of his life, not because he chose it, but because he showed up for it. And that is a different kind of heroism. Quieter and more real. If this one resonated, subscribe. New essays drop weekly, and you never know what's coming next. Share it with someone who'd get it, and leave a comment. I want to know which store this opened for you. Mystery Compendium, the archive is always open.